Can I be honest? Self-love is not easy. Hey guys, it's Bria. Welcome back. If you'd like to support me in any form or fashion, subscribing really helps me out, and so does giving this video a thumbs up. Thanks in advance. I don't know where I got the idea that self-love was kind of like a linear experience where over time I might like myself more, but it's actually like not been that way at all. It's more of a roller coaster type of experience. It ebbs and it flows. One day I am all about me, I am that bitch, and then the next day I could totally be just berating myself for really no good reason at all. What I've realized is self-love is hard. It's hard to consistently feel the way that you think you're supposed to about yourself. And I don't know if any of you have had the miraculous experience of waking up every day of your life and just loving yourself, but I haven't. Last year being one of the hardest years for me to practice self-love, but also one of the most beneficial years for me to learn how to love myself through thick and thin. I think for me personally, the internet kickstarted my trajectory on really figuring out how to love myself when I didn't feel like I could. And so I wanted to focus specifically on practicing self-love when it's hard to love yourself, because hell, we know how to do it when we're feeling ourselves, when we're like at our goal body and like everything is just working out. But what about the times when you're not in those places and you're not feeling some kind of way? I will say one thing that I think could change your perspective with self-love, no matter where you are on the spectrum of just being so into yourself or not, never compromise the self-respect that you have for yourself. As long as you can respect yourself and acknowledge that maybe the love that you have for yourself is going to fluctuate, and unfortunately that sucks, but as long as you can constantly respect yourself, you can get back on track to practicing self-love and get back to that place of genuinely loving yourself. So I'm gonna share with you some things that I learned last year, specifically in terms of getting through those really hard times with loving myself and getting back on track to genuinely love myself. Last year, when I was still in Kansas City, I went through a phase, and I haven't really talked about this publicly, but I went through a phase where I was just kind of ashamed of who I was in my life, and I can't give you valid reasons behind that. I think just like general depression played a very weird role in convincing me that my job didn't matter, I didn't matter, I wasn't making an impact on anything that mattered, I wasn't using my platform enough, like I was just not doing enough. I just got to the point of being ashamed of everything that I was involved with. Anything. I was ashamed of my content. I was ashamed of basically where I was living. I didn't think I had the influencer life aesthetic. And of course now I realize those are actually my strengths, but then I was like, this is why I'm not going to be successful, and I convinced myself of that. One thing that got me to the place that I am now with being proud of who I am and loving everything that I have and genuinely being appreciative about that is romanticizing my life. It's the corniest thing ever, but here's what I want you to think about. I was basically at my wit's end with everything. And once you're at enough of a rock bottom, you'll probably try anything. And for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to try to romanticize every aspect of my life. Like, oh my goodness, this cup right here is just the cutest, quirkiest cup. I love it. I'm such a hydrated girl. Okay. If it works, getting your water down, sure. Everything about my very mundane, boring life needed to be romanticized. I had to kind of think of myself as like the main character. Like, I'm moving in slow motion, the wind is blowing in my hair, like everything is beautiful about my life. Like, I had to put on these lenses to see my life as beautiful. Sometimes it felt like a corny act to put on a cute outfit for the gym and just romanticize the experience I'm having at the gym to convince myself that I liked my workouts. And you know what? After a while, I actually did like my workouts. So don't knock it till you try it. But it could be anything as simple as romanticizing your morning routine or your self-care routine. I love having a slow morning, especially with this 5 a.m. February challenge that we're doing. For me, I get to romanticize the experience I have at that time. And if I want to stop and watch the sunrise for 15 minutes, I can do that. And I can make myself feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie. And it just makes life more beautiful because, spoiler alert, life is actually beautiful beautiful. And if you're not seeing it, you're not present enough, you're not slowing down enough to appreciate what's happening in your life. And I think it's connected to self-love because we get so used to the things that are around us that we start to think our lives aren't good enough. But when we start to love every aspect of what is around us and find the beauty in it, it's easier to even see that beauty in ourselves. So cannot recommend enough. Just try it out in the smallest way. Another thing that I want you guys to try, you don't have to if you don't want to, but one of my favorite ways to romanticize my life is by playing Cuban music around the house, in the car. It's actually very calming. Just like the instrumental Cuban music, I love turning that stuff on. And first of all, I just have like a love for Cuban people, music, movies. So recently I have found a love for just playing the music to calm myself down and not have like lyrics playing all the time. When I'm cooking or cleaning up, it makes me feel like I'm in this different place. I would love to experience Cuba. So for me, I'm kind of like transporting myself there and romanticizing my life and having the music play to like put me in a better spirit or whatever. That's kind of one of my little quirks or whatever you want to call it. But I've also heard other people do similar things. Lynette Adkins, someone told me that she plays French music while she cooks, which like same concept. You're kind of romanticizing it, like teleporting yourself to Paris. You know, honey, we in Texas, but we gonna make it work. And then I also heard someone else, Delaney Childs, who by the way, this is her clothing line, Boyd. Delaney put me on to coffee house jazz and cocktail jazz, and that's another playlist I have that I play. But with the jazz, it's like really nice because sometimes I'll work to coffee house jazz music and feel like I'm at a coffee shop. I could just get my butt up and go to a coffee shop, but sometimes it's nice to make the vibe at home. So get creative and figure out ways to just make your life feel more beautiful and find those things about yourself as well so that you can fall in love a little deeper with yourself. So another thing that you guys already know that I'm doing that is definitely an act of self-love towards myself is having a routine. My 5 a.m. routine specifically is not for shits and gigs. Like, do you think I want to be up at that time? No, I could definitely sleep in until 8 and be totally fine with that. But this has been such a big act of self-love towards myself. When I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm giving myself an opportunity to maximize my day because I realize that I have things that make it harder for me to get through the day sometimes, like anxiety. So by waking up and having an additional 2 or 3 hours in my day to not only get more things done, but also to just invest in me, meditating, journaling, watching the sunrise. I freaking love it. I can't get enough of it. And if you follow my Instagram, you know I post a sunset pic like maybe a couple times a week, at least once a week, because I am constantly mesmerized by the sunrise and how beautiful it is and the colors, and it's always so pretty where I live now. It's things like that that make my mornings feel so special, but also make my day feel even better. And I talked about this a little bit, but my anxiety has improved so much from waking up at 5 a.m. Honestly, that alone makes it worth it to me to stick with it because I've been able to slow down during the day. I don't feel so rushed. I'm like dressed and put together more often. Normally, I would not wear makeup as much. I wouldn't put on a full outfit all the time. I'm seeing now that this 5 a.m. routine created a domino effect for other aspects of my life where I'm putting myself together more, eating better meals, and it's all because I literally gave myself a few extra hours in the day. To me, seeing this improvement in my mood is beyond worth it. I was telling AJ normally I have like maybe 3 to 5 episodes of anxiety during the week, and I've noticed recently it's been like maybe 1 or 2. And so it's crazy to see like, what if I stick with this and keep going? But to me, again, that is such an act of self-love because it's definitely not happening for fun that I'm waking up that early. It's happening because I know that this is what I need to be successful and a happier human being all around. So you do uncomfortable things. And bottom line, if it wasn't for self-love, it's definitely for self-respect. Because I respect myself enough to want better and just try to get there, that is enough reason for me to put myself in a situation that maybe isn't the most fun situation, but I'm seeing the benefits. And I will say to anyone still kicking it in 5 a.m. February, seriously, you gotta be consistent. You gotta stick with it. And I know it's hard. And I will tell them blue in the face, that is why only 8% of the population actually does this stuff, because it's not easy. But that's why you also see these early risers. These people are rigid with their routines because they have to be. And when you show up for yourself before you start your day, you show up for everything else a little bit better. So this one's hard, but we need to talk about it. Setting boundaries. This is an act of self-love. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you, I have gone through my yes girl phase. You can't out yes me. I know how to do it if I want to do it. But in no way, shape, or form are you putting yourself first and your needs first by being a yes girl, yes guy, whatever you want to call it, yes they. You're not prioritizing yourself. If you genuinely don't want to do something, set the boundary. If someone in your life is not serving you, set the boundary. And the first thing that you thought about when I said you need a boundary, what was it? What was it? Interesting. You need to handle that, okay? For me, I have set boundaries in various ways, and I'll give you just like a very small example of a way that I've set boundaries. I have had to set boundaries with communication, and this has been oddly intertwined into anxiety for me, which I figured out. I'm constantly getting the DMs all day. There's comments on my TikToks, my Reels, my YouTube videos. And let's not forget the 300 text messages that are just sitting in my phone right now. There's just a lot of people coming at me. And this is not a negative thing. I'm not complaining, but I'm realistically saying it's overstimulating. It's overwhelming. So a boundary that I've had to create is making pockets of time to talk to people, and also making a cutoff time. Like, hey, think of me as a 9-to-5 business, and I'm closing my doors. I'm putting the open close sign, lights out. I have to kind of think of myself like that, having store hours, because otherwise I could go crazy really quickly. And I've had to find that out the hard way. So I try to kind of block out moments where I can respond to DMs, where I can reply to comments. And after I clock out at, 4 or 5 or whatever time it is that day, my communication is pretty much donezo. Unless it's my parents calling me, like my brain is shut off. I am tapped out. But that's a boundary I've created for my own well-being. So think about areas in your life where maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Where are you feeling overstimulated? Where are you feeling like you're not being heard? Or if you're feeling disrespected, think about where are these negative feelings showing up in your life? And is there a way that you can set a boundary to prevent that? You have to figure it out. You have to figure it out, and you can't be afraid of doing that, because it does take a toll on your well-being. And this one kind of follows into the next one, but I was also gonna add that you have to start saying no a little bit more to things that you don't wanna do. And I've gotta take my own advice here, because it should be either a hell yes or a no. And if it's not a hell yes, it's gotta be a no. And I've tried to implement this more in my day-to-day tactics, especially with what I do. I'm constantly being like, hey, can you talk about this that I do? Can you talk about this that I do? And as much as I would love to promote every single person that hits me up, I am only one person. And I can't knock anyone for trying. Like, I can't knock anyone for trying. That's totally fine. But I'm one person, and I can't take on every single project and every single pitch. So I have to choose when to say no a lot more. And it pains me, because when I first started, I was such a yes girl. I would promote any and everything, and mostly with the idea that I understand my promotion could help a business. It could help one of my followers who maybe needs this product. I see the benefit in it, and it makes me want to say yes to everything. But then I've also experienced major burnout. And so I have to find the fine line between doing things that serve me and also taking care of myself, because I do a lot of work. So relating to you and your life, if you're feeling tired and burnt out and like you stretch yourself thin, baby girl, it's time to say no to some things, because your body will tell you.
You're doing too much. You're doing a little too much, okay?
And you need to listen to that. If someone gets offended by you setting boundaries and having standards for yourself, that's their problem. It has absolutely nothing to do with you. We're in this together, boo. We're gonna learn how to say no. both of us, okay? I need you to hold me accountable, and I'm gonna hold you accountable. I will say, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting real good at it, okay? I'm a no bitch now. But it took some time. It took some time, and I'm still on that journey. Stick with me here. Another act of self-love that I've been trying to emulate in my life for the past year is catching myself with the negative self-talk, but also realizing if I would never say it to someone I love, why the fuck would I say it to myself? You know, that's my rule now. With PMDD, I know I have PMDD girls here. I know that those thoughts don't even feel like they're coming from you, and they're way worse than you could ever fathom about yourself. And I wish that I had more answers, because obviously mental health plays a big role in negative self-talk. It could be for a number of reasons. It could be because of depression. You know, a lot of my girls with PMDD, I feel you. That added layer makes it harder to just be like, oh, I'm not gonna talk bad about myself. No, if it was that easy, we'd all do it, right? But really just taking a deep breath and asking myself, would I ever say this out loud to someone I love? That easy. Yes or no? Okay, why am I having this conversation with myself in my head about me? It needs to stop. It's unacceptable. Period. And that goes back to that self-respect. When you can't love yourself, you need to at least respect yourself. So that boundary I've set with myself right there in that moment is so crucial. Because if I don't stop it then, I can go into a very, very deep hole that could have me in the bed for the next 2 or 3 days contemplating everything I'm doing and my purpose. No, really. These little exercises that you have to practice are so important. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You need to go find a hobby. You need to go distract yourself with something else, because that's not okay. No, we're not doing that anymore, okay? Last but not least, I wanted to remind you how important your daily habits and the way that you treat yourself are in correlation to your self-love. This kind of goes back to the routine concept. I don't get up at 5 a.m. for shits and gigs. I also don't take a heaping amount of vitamins for shits and gigs. I don't choose to eat clean a majority of the time. Don't get me wrong. I love the food that I eat and I enjoy it, but would I be okay with kolaches every day? Yes. Would I be okay with pad thai every week? Yes. But do I understand there's really no nutritional substance value for me there? Yes. So I choose, keyword choose, I choose not to indulge in things that don't make me feel my best. And that's not saying that I never have those things, because I definitely do. But I understand balance is everything. And taking care of my body is taking care of me. Last night we went to Drake's. We had like seriously the best dinner I've had in so long. Guys, I don't even get tripped up about like pasta like this. Best Alfredo I've ever had. Please go if you're in Dallas. Had the best time of my life. Did I get an espresso martini? Yes, I did. Did I get an entire bowl of pasta Fredo? Did we also order a 24-layer cake? Yes, we did. And we loved every moment of it. But when I got home, I had to take Pepto. This lifestyle isn't for me every day, but it was our Valentine's Day celebration, so it was for me yesterday. Bottom line, make sure that you're actually taking care of your body so it can take care of you, baby. Self-love doesn't just look like staring in the mirror and doing affirmations. It's in your habits. It's in how you show up for yourself. It's in what you put in your body, and your body's talking to you. Listen. So I hope that you got something out of this, and that self-love can be an easier journey for you after hearing some of these things that helped me in the past year kind of change my mind frame. Don't get so down on yourself, because self-love is definitely not a linear experience. Like I said, it's going to ebb, it's going to flow. There are going to be periods of your life where it's a lot easier and it's a lot harder. But remember these key items and try to make sure that you can implement that in your life, because it'll get you back on track. Let me know in the comments what you do for self-love. And if you're new here and if you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that before you leave. And a thumbs up doesn't hurt either. Love you guys. I'll see you next week.